Ainu is an almost extinct language isolate that is spoken by less than 100 native speakers on the island of Hokkaido in northern Japan. In the past it was spoken in a much wider area, the entire island of Hokkaido, in the southern part of the island of Sakhalin, the Kuril Islands, some regions of Khabarovsk, the Kamchatkan Peninsula and probably the northern part of the main Japanese island. Ainu language. It is written either in Japanese kanji, the Cyrillic script in Sakhalin, or the Latin alphabet. Ainu Itag. Linguistically the language is considered dead, since in a few years there won't be any native speakers left that learned it since childhood. Ainu woman with mouth tattoo. Nevertheless many Japanese, especially those of Ainu ancestry, learn it as a second language and show great interest in it. From the end of the 19th century until today, the language is constantly declining since the policy of Japan was the complete assimilation and integration of the Ainu people into the Japanese nation. The Ainu, their culture and language were suppressed and looked down upon by the Japanese throughout the centuries. The Ainu language was forbidden and they were even forbidden from hunting for food. The Ainu were considered subhuman by Japanese, with crackpot theories that the Ainu look different because they are a crossbreed between humans and animals. Even the women were despised, especially because of their face tattoos that looked like mustaches according to the Japanese. Little girls had a single dot tattooed above their upper lip. As they grew they painted bigger and bigger tattoo around the entire mouth eventually. Hence the mustache. Ainu family and their house, Sakhalin, 1904. Gradually all Ainu were resettled by Japanese authorities to northern territories and were seen as a buffer between Japan and Russia. Mixed marriages between Ainu and the Japanese were very common, which the Ainu themselves sought in order to avoid discrimination. Because of this, full-blooded Ainu are rare today. The Ainu were a semi-nomadic people who were mainly hunter-gatherers. Where conditions were favorable they kept small rice crops and others. Ainu hunters. Anthropologically the Ainu was a separate race from the Japanese, with their main characteristics being the bigger, more open eyes, the thick beards and the white color of their skin. The Japanese called them hairy. Those who were younger and walked the fields outside had a tan. But the older ones, who were helpless and were mostly sitting at home, had white skin like the Western ones. They are considered descendants of the Jomon people, northern war tribes that the Japanese considered barbaric. The Jomon people share characteristics with the Caucasoid race but are of different lineage. The Ainu practiced animism and had some strange customs like the Iyoman, the custom of sending the bear away. They would capture a newborn bear cub which would be ritually sacrificed after raising it for 2 years. Ainu sacrificed bear. They would take shots at it with bows and arrows until it was dead, then its meat would be distributed among the members of the tribe. Iomant literally means to send away. In the 19th century, John Batchelor, a British emissary of the Anglican Church in Japan, studied the Ainu language and published many works in it, including the New Testament, dictionaries, grammars, works on the Ainu culture and others. Batchelor was very critical on how the Japanese treated the Ainu. John Batchelor. Ainu is an isolated language that does not seem to be related to any other. Attempts have been made to link it to Japanese, Siberian and Alaskan languages but to no avail. Some Ainu phrases. Ainu man. Ainu Itag, Ainu language. Irankarap's hello.